Seats, please. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to take one item and take it out and move it around. I'm going to move item E to after the pledge. So we're going to do A, B, and then E. So if anybody could stand up, please, and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Which one is that?
This side, Mark. I'm sorry. Mr.
All right. What a great night here. I'm Jim Cruiser, Kenosha County Executive, and on behalf of the citizens of Kenosha County and the Kenosha County Board, I want to thank you, Tammy Conforti, and the Dream Playground Project team for all the work that has been done to make this dream a reality. Kenosha County has a beautiful park system, and we realize much of our equipment is not accessible. We'll be working toward adding some accessible equipment over time, but we also realize that we cannot replicate the project that will be done at the Dream Playground. It is for that reason that Kenosha County is pleased to support this project with a $10,000 contribution. We would also like to pledge some sweat equity, and we'll be putting teams together, volunteers to assist with the build. I'll let Chairman Ed Kubicki tell you more about that. But again, I want to thank all of you up here and all the scores of people who have made this possible for their commitment to this project and creating a fully accessible and inclusive playground, not only for the residents of Kenosha County, but for our entire region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. The Dream Playground Project is an awesome project. On behalf of the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors, I want to thank the Dream Playground team, the Kenosha Achievement Center, and specifically Tammy Conforti for her dedicated effort to make this dream a reality. Tammy, I know you always credit your team and all the children who have inspired you in this effort, but your tireless efforts have been the foundation of this playground project, and I want to thank you for that. In addition to this donation, Kenosha County will be encouraging County Board supervisors and employees to volunteer their time during the community build, which will be taking place on August 21st through the 23rd as the pre-build, and the full community build will be September 8th through the 13th. The project will need up to 100 volunteers per shift per day, skilled and not skilled. I encourage County Board supervisors to sign up to help with the community build. I know I'm signing up, and I encourage you also, as well as the executive. We're all lined up. We got two right here.
That's right.
I guarantee you'll be pleased you did. We are encouraged Kenosha County employees to participate in our putting together county work teams for Saturday, August 22nd, during the ground level pre-construction pre-build, and for Tuesday, September 8th, for the first full day of the community build. and I encourage supervisors to either participate on one of those days or pick another date more convenient for your schedule. The information is on your desk tonight. Also on your desks are the forms for purchasing playground bricks or fence posts. It's another way to participate in this project. Thank you again, Dream Playground team. This is a wonderful addition to our community. Keep up the good work. Tammy, would you like to say a few words? I gotta bring that down for us, sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I
I'll
appreciate.
pick you up, one or the other.
That should pick you up like that.
Oh, thank you. On behalf of the Kenosha Dream Playground Project, I'd like to say thank you for this generous donation. You have helped us get even closer to our $1 million goal. Through the tireless efforts of my team and our community, we are very close to our $1 million goal, and close is good. And we plan on spending every single dime of that on playground equipment for children. Children such as Amity have been somewhat unintentionally discriminated against when things are planned in our community. And I'd like to think that the Dream Playground Project is a project that is going to be a segue to accessibility everywhere, not just in the city, not just in the county, but everywhere, statewide, nationwide. I'm hoping this starts an avalanche of Dream Playgrounds all over. Because I believe that accessibility is important, and people with disabilities have just the same right as everyone else to play. The Dream Playground Project, we kind of have a little tagline, and we say that the Dream Playground Project was funded by the community, built by the community, and will be enjoyed by the community. And I think that kind of sums up everything. I'm going to see if Amity would like to say something, but I'd also like to have my co-chair, Scott Gordon, Alderman Scott Gordon, Park Commissioner, say something on behalf of the project. He has been an instrumental figure and also a liaison to the city, and he has a few words to share. And then my brave little Amity, she's going to say something too. So thank you again.
Thanks, Tammy. The smile you see on Amity tonight will be shared by thousands of us on September 13th when we finish the build of the playground. I'd like to thank the county board for helping out the Dream Playground in the spirit of inclusion for the county, because this playground will help many, many children from the county and returning war vets from the county who may have a issue with mobility. And it's a great project for everybody, and I can't wait. It's been a long 3 years, but the time has flown by to see Tammy go from $0 to closing in on a $1 million mark. And this woman, she does it 7 days a week. I kid you not when I tell you, 10 to 12 hours a day. It's her calling, and it's going to benefit Amity and her friends. And thank you all, County Board, for getting on board with us. I really appreciate it, and appreciate the cooperation with Tammy and the city. Thank you.
Can we build it?
Yes, we can.
Can we build it?
Yes, we can.
Don't want to forget the most important part.
Show me the money. There you go. They have a little tiny message for you guys. We don't do everything small, so. Money.
Look at that. You can keep it.
Nice to see you. Thank you. Patrick?
to roll call,
No, I
yes.
just wanted to tell you how to pronounce the words.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on with the meeting. We'll have roll call, please. We'll move on to citizen comments. Citizen comments.
Mr. Chairman, and good evening Supervisors. I'm Teddy Winnett, Director of the Kenosha County UW Extension Office. And tonight we had our Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee meeting right before this evening's board meeting. 2 items appeared on the agenda during our meeting that they suggested we come up to the full board meeting and share some of that information. So we'd like to do that now. This evening, our Youth as Resources Board gave a mock Youth as Resources Board meeting to the committee, inviting them to partake in what it's like to vote on the grants that are submitted on behalf of youth organizations in Kenosha County. This is a partnership that we have with United Way. United Way provides the funds. The youth then review applications submitted by youth-serving organizations, and then they vote to allocate funding. The process is also supported by an endowment fund created by Patricia Johnson in memory of her late husband, Supervisor Leonard Johnson. On your tables or in your seats tonight, I put down an event that's coming up to raise funds for the endowment fund by supporting our local Panera. If you take the flyer, and I gotta say, you gotta have the flyer in your hand when you make your order that night, they will give a percentage of the proceeds of all of the monies collected from orders that evening on April 23rd. So I would encourage you to support YAR by supporting Panera. Pass this also around. Anybody could have these. It has to be this copy, however, I mean any copy, as long as it's this document. And we would appreciate any support you're able to provide. In addition, this evening, I'm going to introduce Lee Presley, who is our new agricultural educator, and Lee presented to them this evening the latest issue of our Farm Fresh Atlas, which you also have on your desk.
So we just finished up production and printing of 100,000 of these copies of the Farm Fresh Atlas. It's a local resource listing farms, farmers markets, locally owned businesses in southeastern Wisconsin, providing their address and a little description about them. So if you're out there this summer looking for fresh food, this is probably one of the best resources you can have. So my name and number is on the inside cover, so if you want more or see a public space that could benefit from having some of these out, just contact me and go ahead and ask. So thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Supervisors. I'm Herschel Riles, and I'm the serve as Chairman of the Board of Commissioners on Aging. Now, it is problematic to think that a measure has been tendered to our state legislator to dismantle a resource that has had a very favorable consumer and patient satisfaction reports. And it has been cost-effective in health care delivery for long-term care and pharmaceutical care. And to think that it would be converted possibly to an automated 800 number to a very unpersonal attitude. Now that's a comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Raymond Cameron. I reside at 531320 Avenue, Kenosha. I turn your attention to Kenosha County, or the Kenosha News, talking about, at-risk programs at risk. If you go toward the back, you'll see where it talks about how we were the first one in the state to have an ADRC. When I first came back to this state in '94, it was called Aging and Long-Term Care. I've been up to Madison the first time in 2011. I remember some of the supervisors here from when this body approved the purchase so that the Kenosha Commons facility could be purchased and built. But we have such a long-term care model here in Wisconsin that is superior to all over this nation. And I was also at a meeting with the city council where they called for a resolution to go to the Joint Finance Committee to oppose this sort of cuts that the gentleman before me was talking. On my part, this was totally impromptu. I've made no prepared notes, but I feel that passionately about the good things that the ADRC does. They're federally funded. You know, another return to IRIS. You know, if they're trying to cut, Tammy Baldwin put a stop to that. But, you know, now they want to restructure this. And if this goes down, we're not going to have any health care. I mean, I should say independent home care. And the cost of the taxpayer is going to skyrocket. And as some people said there, this was about ideology, not about saving money. So I'm calling for a resolution, and I'm probably stealing something from another person's script who I'll leave nameless for their protection. But I'm calling for a resolution that this county board would send a message to the state and say, hey, we don't want IRIS and the Medicaid waivers and the ADRCs to disappear. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laverne Jarris. I had the privilege in 1988, with the support of this county board, to be part of creating the forerunner to Wisconsin's Aging and Disability Resource Centers. And in fact, with the help of the of Karen at the county executive's office, I was able to find the original resolution dated in November 1st of 1988 that created what we called at that time the Center for Aging and Long-Term Care. And the first whereas in that resolution was Kenosha County recognizes the need of a growing population of older and disabled citizens for improved access to available services. The resolution that is before you today asks that the language in the governor's proposed budget relative to ADRCs be removed. If the language is not removed, you will have no authority to determine whether the comprehensive services now provided by your ADRC are provided locally or through a statewide or regional 800 number, whether they will be publicly accountable or contracted to a private for-profit entity, whether they are provided through one door or whether they'll be pulled apart and citizens will have to go back to calling several places for the information and assistance they need. Not only could the county lose $1.9 million for local services, we increase our risk of higher institutional and residential placement costs if some other entity doesn't have the same incentive as we do to expedite the enrollment of persons with severe disabilities into the family care program. Raymond showed you some articles. These are just some of the articles that have appeared. The public supports our ADRCs. The Kenosha News editorial board supports our ADRC. The city council the other night passed a unanimous resolution supporting our ADRC. We hope that we will have your full support as well. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Helen Sampson. I'm the quality specialist at the Aging and Disability Resource Center. There are a lot of ways to frame the concerns around the budget language related to the ADRCs, but for me it comes down to a sort of simple idea. I don't open the front door to my home unless I know who's on the other side and have some sense of their intention. But that is exactly what this budget language does. It opens the front door to ADRCs without having any idea of who's on the other side or what their intention is. and it keeps that door open for all time. That is, for me, the most imprudent and unwise thing about the language, especially when you consider the value of what is inside. So I really appreciate your thoughtful consideration of the resolution that is before you tonight. Thank you.
Any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments? Citizen comments are closed. Announcements of the chairman, I do have a few. I want to welcome the youth and governors that are with us this morning to my right. Eddie Carando, Luke O'Neill, and Bennett Majorowski. Welcome this evening. I'd also like to say that Resolution 115 has been pulled from the agenda tonight. I'd like to also congratulate our Wisconsin Badgers basketball team for a great year. And that's all I have for this evening. We'll move on to supervisor reports. Supervisor Hallman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one, there is going to be an event on Tuesday, April 14th at 4 p.m. in the Human Services Building in the Commons area. Our County Executive, Jim Cruiser, invites the County Board and the public to celebrate those who work to prevent child abuse and neglect. There will be a presentation of a plaque to the first recipient of the Connie Reyes Award for Excellence in Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention. So all folks are invited to come out and attend that. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisors Alverman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of brief items from Highways and Parks Facilities, golf. One of the happy items that I have this evening is that as we have gotten into pricing on construction projects, paving for the year, oil prices, not our gas price, you know, we all were happy in the winter when gas got down, and now they've managed to bring it back up, but the bulk oil that's used in the paving products that is mixed with the gravel to create the asphalt, those prices are down. So what we've found is a 12% decrease from last year. What that's going to mean to Kenosha County is, and I know everyone has been, you know, really wanting us to be able to do more, and budgets have kept us down the last 5 years from what we used to do, but we did increase this year what we're going to be doing as far as miles and paving. And with this decrease in the cost, we're probably going to be able to do another mile to mile and a half more than what we approved in the budget. So that's huge for the upkeep, what we're able to do on the road. So that was very good news. The other good news that we got, we passed a resolution to have the buildings demolished here, the two that we purchased. The other building out at Pets. Bids came in $30,000 to $40,000 lower. I think it was 30 in between there, lower than expected. So that budget was greatly helped. At Brookside, the construction that's going to occur there on the expansion, we have hired a project manager. That's Camozzi Construction. This is still in the planning stages, but things are moving along very well. Courthouse light replacement, I know we haven't discussed that, but we had some problems with the lighting that was done there when the project was done. The company that installed and did the total construction on that is replacing that next month at no cost for any of the materials or labor to the county. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Alverman. Supervisor Ritzloff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned last meeting, and it came to good news for the town of Summers, is now a village of Summers. We did get incorporated. if you saw the vote last night, and that's great for us. I again want to thank the people in the county. They put on another great show in our second meeting. We were all there, and it went well, obviously. So again, thank you, Kenosha County, for your support on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We'll go on to old business. County Clerk.
Resolution 114 from Human Service Committee, a resolution to urge the Joint Finance Committee and/or the governor to keep ADRCs under the county control. Hallman, yes. Gable, yes. Anita Johnson excused. Decker, yes. Arrington excused. Blau, yes. Retzloff, abstain.
Supervisor Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move Resolution 114.
114 has been moved by Supervisor Hallman, seconded by Supervisor Gable. Supervisor Hallman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 114, as it's presented to you this evening, is actually in its amended form. We made some changes to it in committee on Monday night. Those changes are relatively highlighted from the copy online that you see. Nonetheless, our ADRC is very much well beloved by our community and works extraordinarily hard. Were we to lose it, it would be a loss of $1.9 million to Kenosha County. Presumably, this is not necessarily a savings to the state. It would just mean that Kenosha County would not see that money. What do our ADRCs currently do, or our ADRC here in Kenosha? Well, our ADRC provides information and assistance contacts to 13,002 people. That is excluding economic support calls and visits. Works closely with 5,000 plus persons on aging and disability matters. Their home visits options counseling in 2014 worked with 1,082 people, assisted 357 folks in enrolling in long-term care programs, provided short-term services to 206 persons. Our equipment loan closet that we have for folks that might need walkers or crutches or wheelchairs served 711 people in 2014. The number of items borrowed, 1,427. They worked with folks on benefit assistance cases. That was 719 people, which is a monetary impact of $1.3 million to this community. Family caregiver support, 129 folks. Health and wellness classes, 10 folks. Falls risk assessments, 23. Outreach and education presentations, 123. And I know we've all heard quite a bit about how Wisconsin is increasingly having an aging population, in some cases more so than any other state in the nation. And of course, there's a close partnership with the Kenosha News cycling My Life, a newsletter about aging and disability matters that goes to 30,000 homes. We have community collaborations through our ADRC with the Falls Prevention Coalition, with the Family Caregiver Coalition, the Elder Abuse Awareness Forum, the Care Transitions Coalition, the Ethnic Elders Group. These are things that someone who would put together a more further centralized 1-800 number that's away from the people who would need these information and these services probably wouldn't know about in their own community. They'd pick up the phone, call it, and there would be no idea about what's actually going on. This is something that works very, very, very well for us, and it's something that this county board and certainly our administration and our community have expressed a deep desire to keep, which is why you see the resolution in front of you. We had some conversation about it in committee. I don't think there was anybody that said we should get rid of it. It was just merely tightening down the language to make sure it was focused enough. And we've done that, which is why it's in front of you. So passed unanimously, and I would certainly urge your support. Actually, no, I think there was one abstention. I take that back, if I'm not mistaken. And the concern was that when this was presented, a number of these things, not just with ADRCs, but other areas in terms of health care for folks who are disabled and folks who are seniors. Our state administration did not necessarily make it abundantly clear what its plans were. And you can see evidence of that when the Secretary of Health, Kitty Rhodes, said she didn't know about many of these things, and she was a longtime legislator and nurse who worked in long-term care. She was quite surprised. And you had a number of legislators who were not consulted on the Hill. So as far as were we to lose ADRCs, what would become of those services and programs and how those would be administered is anybody's guess. As I told a committee member last night who sought more information from state government administration about what the plans were, I said, look, I'm just going to remind you, the budget really is no longer the governor's. It belongs to the legislature, and as near as any of us can tell, it doesn't seem as though they're really apt to really want to talk any more than they already have. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Dash.
Yes, I'd also like to mention that Wisconsin ADRCs was awarded a National Outstanding Achievement Award. There are no cost savings budgeted for this. You do not privatize just for the sake of privatization. As stated in citizens' comments, do not open that door. When you receive national awards, it's because you've developed a winning team. We have a winning team, and we all should know that you do not fire a winning team. Then on a personal side, about the 800 service. I know somebody very well that works in an 800 service. The job, it was a corporate job, started out as a good job, but the corporations wanted to increase productivity, increase their profits, and first they doubled the backlog on the calls. Then they tripled the backlog of numbers of people allowed to be backlogged on calls. Then they went beyond that, and they limited 3.5 minutes per call. So what's happening is a lot of the operators at this particular place, when they reach their 3.5 minutes, they hang up on that person and may make them go back and wait for another call. I don't think we should subject our parents, our seniors to this kind of treatment. And I see that very possibly happening, so I ask your support for resolution number 114. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other lights, this is a simple roll call has been requested. Vote yes if you're in favor of resolution 114 or no if you're against it.
Resolution 116 from Public Works Facility Committee, resolution to grant an easement between county-owned properties. Elverman, yes. Grady, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. Galitsky, excused. Poole, yes.
Supervisor Elverman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd move resolution 116.
Resolution 116 has been moved by Supervisor Elverman, seconded by Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Elverman.
Resolution 116 is a granting of an easement between county-owned properties. And actually, this is one of the rare easements you'll ever see because it's Kenosha County granting Kenosha County an easement. The city has asked for this. We have some new parking that we are going to do next to the administration building here. There's water control in any municipality, and there's a storm sewer. We came up with a good plan to not have to close the adjacent street for a long period of time by hooking into one of our own storm sewers. City was concerned that we may at one point sell this building or sell the safety building to someone. I don't know if there's a large market for safety buildings, but there is that concern by the city. So what I'm asking you to do tonight is for us to grant ourselves an easement to put in our storm sewer.
Thank you. Seeing no lights, this is a simple majority vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Resolution 116 passes. County Clerk.
Resolution 117 from Public Works Facilities Committee, resolution to grant an electric power utility easement to We Energies to relocate wires underground. Elverman, yes. Grady, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. Galitsky, excused. Poole, yes.
Supervisor Elverman.
I move resolution 117.
Resolution 117 has been moved by Supervisor Elverman, seconded by Supervisor Poole. Supervisor Elverman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. This one makes a little more sense, but I'm going to ask for your approval. The area behind the administration building, the area where the new parking area is going to be between the safety building, if you have seen the construction there, there's the old time power poles and wires coming in, and We Energies has asked us for an easement. They want to take everything safely underground. It's going to make things much more sightly. At the time that we're granting them this easement, they are going to do the initial cut and open up, and we are going to be able to then install some of the other things we need installed in there. There's cable, there's some of our other communications wires that are going to go in, so we will have nothing above ground between here and the safety building and the courthouse. We Energies is going to take care of their portion of it, no cost to the county. We're going to install in their trench our wires and things that we need for the building. So I would ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no lights, this is a simple majority vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Resolution 117 passes. You can't do that. We have to approve the, it is on here.
There's a new one on your desk.
There's another one right there. Right here. I know. Besides, I apologize. I apologize. Must have saved the tree here. Okay, go ahead, County Clerk.
Approval of the March 17th minutes by Ron Johnson.
Supervisor Ron Johnson.
Move to approve the minutes.
The minutes have been approved by Ron Johnson. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Decker. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. The motion to adjourn by Supervisor Gable, seconded by Supervisor Dodge. All those in favor? All right, thank you. Have a good evening.